What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another edition of Matchday Reloaded. Not live in Panenka Studios. We are in Panenka Studios, but of course this is not live. This is premiering at 9 o'clock on Sunday. I'm actually travelling at the moment. It's not a case of running away from being live. I'm actually travelling on my travels, but I did still want to give you Matchday Reloaded, as is always the case, the day after, the night before, the day after any result, positive or negative. And I'm actually recording this quite late, quite late in the wee hours of Sunday morning, Saturday evening, depending on how you want to look at it, because I have a kind of method to whenever I do Matchday Reloaded, because it is just that. It's reloading the match day and it's kind of reflecting upon the match in question. And a lot of the time I like to sort of go to bed and wake up early the next morning and kind of sleep on it and see how I feel about what has transpired the night before, whether it's a 3-point win, a domestic cup triumph like it was last season, or if it's a poor defeat, or in this case, the worst performance of the season, certainly the worst result of the season. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's still, I want to say the word surprising or shocking, because I suppose at this point with Manchester United, what is there left to be shocked by anymore? But I'm just so sad, I think is probably the right word. Sad. I mean, it's Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3. And Bournemouth are a side that, prior to the game on Saturday, were 15th in the Premier League. And that's not to be disrespectful to them. I don't want to purposely be disrespectful to them or anything like that, because they've been in really good form recently. But as good as form as Bournemouth have been in, there's no justifying what we saw. There's no defending what we saw. Whether it's the players, the manager, anything. That is an embarrassment of a defeat. That is, I mean, completely being humbled on your own patch. Bournemouth win 3-0. They had a couple of goals chalked off for offside, so there's an argument to be made it could have been 5 or 6. When it comes to United, did we really put up that much of a fight throughout the game? Not really. I can only maybe think of one time that the keeper actually had to make a significant save, and we had all the ball, 69% of it, but we did nothing with it. And once again, it was incredibly flat, incredibly disappointing. I felt that it was really devoid of any real intensity. And what you've got now is a really strange situation at Manchester United, because you had what, for me, previously was the poorest performance of the season away at St. James's Park, against Newcastle, 1-0. And it wasn't a 1-0 game. It wasn't reflective of the game, because we should have been and could have been 5-0, 6-0 down in that game. And that was followed up by, several days of scrutiny, Ten Hag losing the dressing room, a crisis, what have you. And then it was followed up by arguably the best performance of the season against, I understand, a poor Chelsea side, but still, you have to beat who's in front of you, and United played very well, 1-2-1, and once again, it was one of those situations whereby it could have and should have been a far bigger margin. So we went into the game, certainly I did, fairly confident and optimistic, knowing that a big week was ahead, and in a week coming up that I knew that we were going to struggle in. I've always said time and time again that the game against Bayern Munich, I don't think we go through in the Champions League. Even if we got a win, I just don't think things will go in our favour. So the odds are that we're going to go out in the week of the Champions League. And then that's followed up by, of course, the game against Liverpool at Anfield, which I've never been confident we're going to get anything out of. And I think it's going to be, honestly, similar to last year. Once again, we are so vulnerable and weak in defensive transition. We're so vulnerable to the threat on the counter-attack, which is what we saw against Bournemouth. How many chances they create off the counter-attack. You'll probably actually be able to see it as the stats go through. You can see it right there. Counter-attacks 4-0. Counter-attack shots 3-0. Big chances in the game. They had 3, we had 0. We created next to nothing. And we are so vulnerable in that transition. And Liverpool are the best in the league in that transition. Mo Salah picking up the ball, game over. So we've got our worst performance. Well, we had our previously worst performance of the season against Newcastle. Then our best performance, sandwiched, and then the worst performance I think has been, superseded now into another worser performance. And that's followed up by what I think is many people are assuming is going to probably be one of the worst weeks of the season. And when it comes to Erik Ten Hag, you now worry for him. Not in the sense that I want the manager to go, are you Ten Hag out or anything like that? Because my mindset on all of this hasn't really changed. Is that Manchester United need continuity. Manchester United need consistency. There's a group of players there. There's a culture. There's a mentality at the club that has led us to the position that we're in. The position above Erik Ten Hag in terms of the executive side of things and the owners, it's not a recipe for success, and I don't think it will ever be. I think the fact that we find ourselves getting results that we did yesterday, in terms of the bigger picture, the wider picture, stems from that, but it also stems from a decade of being soft and allowing things like player power and allowing standards to drop in terms of player recruitment and allowing effort or lower effort to be tolerated. And my worry is, for Erik Ten Hag now, is that, and even when the stories were going on earlier on the week, that I felt that there was probably elements of truth to certain players maybe not playing for the manager. I did feel the players were playing for him on Wednesday, and I still do think there are, but I do think there are certainly, fractures within the relationship with certain players, and I worry that this is going to be a really, really, really rough period now for the next 8 or 10 days, with this result, with the result that's coming against Bayern, and with the result that's seemingly coming against Liverpool. We saw what the media reaction was just to the Newcastle result, let alone what could be even worse to come, right? That's really worrying. That's really concerning. And Ineos, whenever that's confirmed, whenever they come in, they think it could be announced just before Christmas. There might be a period of sort of 6 to 8 weeks for regulatory approval. That it might get so bad that Ineos, who are going to be making sweeping changes to the football side of things anyway, new executives, new sporting directors, etc., new CEO, that they might find themselves walking into a situation that's incredibly toxic and just go, you know what, let's just start from scratch and properly from scratch, and that maybe might include the manager, which is really unfortunate because I think if Erik Ten Hag does lose his job eventually, I think it's just another casualty, another decent coach that this club and this group of players, this culture has chewed up and spat out. And that's why when we talk about Ineos, I just think that, it's all just a complete mess at Manchester United, certainly, isn't it? All just a complete mess. And maybe those people talking about being one game away from a crisis is true, but even if we'd lost against Bournemouth and it was just, 1-0 or 2-1 and we were a bit unfortunate and we had, scored and the game was just totally different, then you would say, well, that's a different conversation. But 3-0, to hold 3 at home to a team in the bottom half that have, apart from recent weeks, been in, really poor at points this season. One of the last times they went away to a sort of a top team in the Premier League was City. They lost 6-1. So this was maybe a new low realistically for us this season. And the problem is I think the lows are only going to get lower, unfortunately. Now, obviously, I say all that, and now I'm going to make you relive it again. Apologies for this, but here are the highlights of the match for you yesterday.
Yeah, we need to be moving the ball. Like, we've got to be careful how we move the ball.
Guys, Amrabat, man.
In the box? No way!
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Like you said, they're on it.
Absolutely fantastic. Jesus.
Don't worry, man.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
We should have matched them.
That energy.
Should have matched them.
On that side of the pitch as well.
Should have matched them.
Let's see what happened here.
Should have matched them.
I'm saying Amrabat there,
Yeah, McTominay's asking.
No, I didn't see what I didn't see it. I can't even tell you who I can't tell you who I blame on that one.
I'm saying Amrabat.
Look at this now.
Like Amrabat passed it there.
Amrabat passes it there. We play it over the top. Who knows the
over
the top one?
But then Amrabat.
Who does that one?
Slow to.
No, it was Bruno that played it. It's the Bruno pass before it. It just surrenders position.
Possession, yeah. What a finish. Oh.
You want Amrabat to get across. It's a good goal. It's a fantastic goal.
It is.
Look at this. Let's see what he does.
Oh, sure.
Oh, it's a fantastic finish.
Today. Oh, allow it.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Oh, allow it. Say it ain't so, man.
That's Old Trafford. I can't believe it at home. Man. There you go. It's done.
Who the hell is this guy? Who's this? like flipping Steve Bartlett wannabe lookalike with a throw.
This is terrible.
2-0. The worst thing about this game is the scoreline isn't reflective of the game, in my opinion. It really isn't.
Man United know about killing people.
Whose fault was this one? Whose fault was this one?
Sure.
Sure.
And look at him.
Similar
Look, watch. He did the same thing. Sure. There you go. Doesn't look.
But he looked. But then what?
Oh, you pussy. Oh, yeah, there you go.
He got dunked on.
It's sure done the first one, yeah.
Oh,
Second, he didn't even. You know, you get just a hand on him.
Yeah. Just step back into him.
You didn't know he was there.
He got
Sure,
dunked on.
check.
No, but he
before.
looked.
He looked before.
He looked.
It's an idiot. That's how
Keeper,
sure that was
no,
coming.
man.
You know when you want to have belief that we can come back.
Yeah,
Absolutely
but it's hard
not.
to. It's hard to. I can't lie. Can't believe it. Can't believe it.
Oh, no way! Fucking hell! 3!
Damn.
Oh, we're done.
Who's he looking at? Who's he looking
We
at?
are completely mudded. This is mudded.
Yeah, game.
I Luckhurst and them, man.
You're welcome back.
Go crazy.
Do your thing. Yeah. They're clacking away right
Luckhurst
now,
and
bro.
them, man. Go crazy, bro.
I still can't lie though. Yeah. It's the worst time to say this, but it's not a 3-0, bro. Like,
It is.
It's not like in terms of the performance. They haven't.
Bro, they
been
put the
3-0
goal
better,
in
man.
it. Bro, they've scored 6 times. 3 have been disallowed.
Who's marking him?
There's no one marking him. It's free man. Completely free. Look at
Who's
him.
marking
Free
him?
throughout. He's completely free.
So all the man in that box that's not marking someone.
Like literally, he was free completely by himself.
To
Look
be
at that.
fair, from corners they've been.
They've been good, yeah.
They've been really
From set
good.
pieces, this is their thing. They've got a game plan, and they execute it.
Big up to the guys inside UVHQ yesterday. Big up to KG, Rich, and DJ. And I know Rich was saying that they don't deserve this, but they did. I mean, they did. And he said it's not a 3-0 game. Why not? Why wasn't it? I mean, to be honest with you, Bournemouth had clearer cut chances. Bournemouth were far more clinical, certainly with us than us. And yeah, Bournemouth certainly deserved it. I mean, just picked us off in the counter-attack, no problem. And Manchester United were just... They were poor to a man. And we'll get into, obviously, the players individually as we go through. Some player quotes and manager quotes that I do want to go through. Bruno Fernandes, and we are going to talk about Bruno later on, got quite a bit to say about him. After the game said, quote, "Everything was lower than the levels in the game before. We just lack consistency, and that's a big part of football. It's really important to be consistent in every game, and we're not." Now, Erik ten Hag was asked about the boos and fans leaving the stadium early. Of course, it must be pointed out that, yes, the final score was 3-0, but Bournemouth had actually scored a 4th, and it was ruled out for VAR. I mean, 3-0 is horrific. 4-0 at home to Bournemouth in 15th. I mean, I'm not going to say like that's the difference between him getting sacked or anything like that, but that's all-time stuff, that is. I mean, oh my goodness me. But when Ten Hag was asked about the boos and the fans leaving the stadium early, Ten Hag said, quote, "I understand they are disappointed and frustrated. We all are. We have to do better and we have to do it every game." And when talking about facing Bayern Munich in the Champions League on Tuesday, Ten Hag said, quote, "We know we are able to do it. We showed it in the week. We have to leave this behind, but we have to talk about it. I have to take responsibility for it. We are really inconsistent. We have the ability, but we have to do it every game. You need consistency. We can play a very good game against many opponents. We are able to do it, but you have to do it every third day. Get it right, and the demands are of a certain standard. We have to go to higher standards to deliver it every third day." Now, he also then continued on by saying, quote, "We put a lot of effort in to turn the game, but then the brilliance, the movement in the box were not there to get the equaliser. After the 2-0, we broke down, so we have to do things better. The way we started is no good. That is poor. It's the first 5 minutes of the game, especially against an opponent like today. Very good transition team. You give them the perfect circumstances. It shouldn't happen. I think we have to always be ready for the game, and so I have to take the responsibility for that. I have to prepare the team so they are ready for the game. I'm very disappointed." He then continued by saying, "We are really inconsistent. We have the abilities to do it, but we have to do it every game and every third day." So, look, it's more of the same, certainly, from Erik ten Hag. I mean, what else is he going to say when he comes out? I mean, when you lose 3-0 against a side in the bottom half at home, inconsistent's probably an understatement, probably, for what Manchester United are at the moment. And were, the players overlooking it ahead of the Bayern game and the Liverpool game? Maybe to an extent, but I think if you were overlooking things, I don't think you lose 3-0 at home. I think that kind of argument can be put to the side, really, because if you overlook things, you can maybe slip up, draw 1-1, 2-2, lose 2-1, something kind of happened. 3-0 and it could have been 4. That's just being not good enough. That's just them being better than you. I mean, 3-0 flukes don't really happen, or 4-0 flukes, or them having the ball in the net sort of 5, 6 times in a game. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens by the other team just being better. Bournemouth were better than us. Many a team this season have been better than us. And it's incredibly alarming and incredibly concerning. And I think that if we thought the fallout to the Newcastle game and the scrutiny and the toxicity was bad then, I just have no idea what it's going to be like coming up this week, because that is unbelievably concerning. And whether or not Ten Hag will be able to survive that, I don't think, despite what I think is going to happen, I don't think he will go at the end of next week or anything like that, because ultimately at this point in time, it's kind of not the people that are in charge, their decision to make. So that's kind of why, I mean, I spoke about this a few Matchday Reloaded shows ago, that Manchester United as a club, because of those circumstances, we talk about planning for the future, and we talk about what direction we want to head in and what we want Erik ten Hag to turn this side into and what we want to achieve in the long term. But it's very difficult to actually say what it is that we want Manchester United to build towards, or what Manchester United to become in the long term, or the strategy for the next transfer window, the next summer transfer window, and the year after that, and the year after that, and season upon season upon season, because Manchester United as a club, as a company, as an organisation, is completely directionless at the moment. We have no idea what the future looks like. And because of that, if we were, a normal functioning club and things weren't going right now, we'd go, right, things aren't going good. But I'll tell you what we can do. The January transfer window is coming up and we can fix some things. Not a case of throwing money at the problem, but, okay, got to get rid of a couple of players here, bring a couple of players in, and then we do that. We'll get to the end of the season, then we'll go again. We'll have the strategy. We know that things are bad right now, and we also know that they're going to get worse. And we also know that come January, there would be, for normal clubs, options to fix things, or certainly begin to fix things. And we know we can't do anything like that. So we have to just watch it get worse throughout the season. And that's why I say about the manager, okay, cool, you get rid of the manager. But with this group of players, with the culture, with the toxicity that exists in the club, with the same patterns of behaviour over and over and over and over again, do we really think another manager comes in and doesn't find himself in the same situation in 12 months' time, 18 months' time? Or so he gets a new manager bounce, not because he's a great coach, not because this person that comes in is the solution, the answer, this is the person we've been looking for. If a new person came in, they might just get a bounce because the players have suddenly decided that they don't like Erik ten Hag anymore. We're going to run for this guy again, but they'll stop. They'll stop running eventually, because they always do. Whether it's after 20 minutes for Ralf Rangnick, whether it's after 12 months or 18 months for Erik ten Hag, whether it's after 9 months for David Moyes, whether it's after a couple of seasons for Louis van Gaal, pick a manager, pick a time frame, because it's always there. And it will be there as long as this group of players and as that structure exists the way it is, because they know when push comes to shove, I don't like him anymore, get rid of him, I'm staying. That culture needs to go. And it's a massive problem. Massive problem. Now let's get some reaction outside Old Trafford. Here are Flex's thoughts.
Absolutely disgusting performance, and those players should be embarrassed. This is typical Man United. As soon as you think that there's a little bit of a way forward or a little bit of glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, it comes all crashing down, and it comes crashing down in a way you never ever would have thought. I was going to say 4-0 at home to Bournemouth. It basically was. We got a lucky handball to Slavia, whatever, 3-0, 4-0. Absolutely disgraceful. And you know what? When you see a performance like that, you automatically think, I'm going to come out here, I'm going to be angry, cussing, swearing, shouting. I'm beyond that. I'm beyond that. I'm numb. I feel empty. I feel helpless. Like, what next? Like, Ten Hag genuinely isn't going to survive this. He's not. Incoming, Bayern Munich going to get absolutely licks. Liverpool, Jesus, another 7-0 incoming. Let's be honest, that's what's going to happen. And the accountability from players. And look, when you lose like that, collectively it was poor across the board. But some of the things, you know, Luke Shaw not strong enough against Billing, complete mismatch. I saw Martial start the game, wasn't at it, not good enough. Anthony, of course, we've been asking for him to start. I'm just saying what I saw today. Not good enough, not engaging enough. Alejandro Garnacho trying to get at defenders, trying to make things happen, didn't work. Scott McTominay, and again, this is why I can't remember, it was the Irish fella in the last game when Scott scored 2 goals against Chelsea, and he said, look, in the fan roundup, he said, look, let's not get carried away here with McTominay because he's not good enough. When he scores, fine, but let's not cloud this. When he's not scoring, when he's not making runs into the box, he is null and void. He is null and void. He's not good enough to play in midfield for Manchester United. Amrabat, okay, gets on the ball, keeps it a bit tidy and whatnot, but basic player. Bruno didn't do anything today. Reguilon got into good positions, wasteful. Dalot, nothing today. Harry Maguire actually, for large parts, stopped the game being 3 or 4-0 until it did get to 3 or 4-0. Onana, questionable for the second goal. Like, it's just an absolute shambles. All of it. All of it. Scrap the whole lot of it and start again. But what does that look like? How do you do that? Do you know what I mean? And that to me is the worst thing about this. Is like, there is no instant fix. Buckle in. Buckle in or just don't watch, because this is going to keep going and going and going. And it's like, you want to stick with Erik ten Hag because it's like, it's the only consistency that we've got in a time when there's going to be so much change. But he ain't going to survive like this. He ain't going to survive with the decisions that he's making, with the lack of quality that he's getting out of this team, to the signings that he's made that aren't delivering. So he's spent that money. To the players who have given up. There's no scapegoats today. We all said don't start Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford didn't play today, and when he came on, he actually ran around for the first time in ages at 3-0 down. But can't blame him. Can't blame him. Can't blame Marcus Rashford. Varane ain't been playing. Can't blame him. Like, who are you going to blame? Who are you going to blame? Scott McTominay scored 2 goals in the last game against Chelsea, so we're like, listen, he has to start. That's the team we wanted to see. And it don't matter who plays. He played Martial instead of Rasmus Højlund. You could say that didn't work, but if Rasmus Højlund would have started, would it have been much different? He ain't scored a fucking Premier League goal. So at the end of the day, we can get angry and get angst and start cussing out this player, this player, this player, this player. The reality is that it all needs scrapping from top to bottom. From the coaching staff and Erik ten Hag, because it ain't working. From the players who are underneath that, not buying in. It all needs scrapping. From the structure above, that all needs ripping out. The soul is gone from this club. And this is typical Man United as well, is that we are always one game away from crisis. Here's what's going to happen here. Now, on social media, the hounds are going to be out. Everyone's going to say Ten Hag out. This is an all-time low. This is the worst it's ever been. It's crap. It's this. It's that. Samuel Luckhurst's going to write another scathing piece. Sky Sports, Carve Soloco is going to say, look, see, I told you, 50% of the dressing room gone. All these things are going to start happening. Then the leaks are going to come out tomorrow. Players are pissed off with Ten Hag because of X, Y, Z. It's too intense. Oh, the players don't care. The players aren't feeling his training methods. That's what's going to...
Big up Flex outside Old Trafford yesterday. And I think it's a really interesting point where Flex is making. He's basically saying there's no way back. And there is a feeling about that, isn't there? Saying, that it's, Ten Hag might be in the sort of beginning stages of this sort of death spiral, as it were. But unlike other managers that have had to face the chop at Manchester United, as it were, they, you could see, the ending, and you could think, right, okay, and then they're going to bring someone in. But because of the uncertainty about the future, you don't know where that's going to go, and you don't know when that's going to if he were going to go or anything like that, or what the replacement would be, or what the plan would be, or what the time frame of it is going to be. And that's kind of my worry, is that is it the beginning of the end? I don't know. I mean, I still hope that he turns it around. If I don't see that turnaround happening this week, it would be remarkable, really, wouldn't it? It really would be remarkable if that were indeed to happen. I mean, stranger things have happened. Football's a funny game, but it'd be some level of turnaround. I mean, we got Bayern Munich on Tuesday. They themselves got absolutely embarrassed over the weekend. They faced Frankfurt. I think they lost 4-1, 5-1, something like that. So any hope that we had about Bayern taking it lightly, and the fact that they were already through, they'd already won the group, they don't care. Suddenly they care now, because they've got to react, and they've got to do a reaction for their fans. And Liverpool, it's just, I don't know, when was the last time we won at Anfield? I think was it Wayne Rooney, 2016, I think, maybe something like that. It's been a while. It's been a long time, and it just doesn't look good, and it's gonna be just a really difficult week. And I think we all knew that, but what we didn't anticipate was the game at Old Trafford, and now it's crazy. Let's get some more reaction. Let's talk to KG inside UVHQ. Here are his thoughts.
It's not even. It's mad. It's not even. It's like, I don't even know what to say. Honestly, like I don't know what to say. Like I don't want to go crazy, because it's numb. I'm numb to this, innit? Like, 1 minute we win, it feels great against Chelsea. We walk into this. That's it. That's what it is. It's 1 step forward, 28 steps back. Literally 28 steps back, because that's what we did today. It was an embarrassment. We lose at home to Bournemouth. It's unheard of. 3-0. It could have been 4. Listen, they had the ball in the net 6 times. Yeah, 3 disallowed goals. Make that make sense. That's the part for me that is beyond incredible. I can't believe. I want to say I can't believe it, but you have to believe it. Today was an embarrassment. Today was a beyond embarrassment. I have no words. Literally, and I was enjoying myself, cooking other teams, laughing at Spurs. And again, we won the El Madico, but we went straight back to where we belong, in the mud. Man United now, Samuel Luckhurst, yeah, he's pulling out the old school typewriter, because what he needs to write, he's writing right now. And all the media people that got banned, do your worst in it. Right now, this is your time, because Man United, when we do these things, when you take these risks, you have to win. That's the key thing. Winning is key. And right now, we're just looking like idiots. Today, Man United played with nothing. We had nothing getting on for ourselves. Even if that game carried on for another 90 minutes, we ain't scoring no goals. We weren't scoring today. It's a shame. We looked actually even better with Martial on the pitch. As soon as you bring on Højlund, not blaming Højlund for this at all, but as soon as you bring on Højlund, I don't know, it's that it became disjointed. The team weren't doing what the team needs to do. It's just it's total embarrassment. And you know what? The one thing that needs to be fixed here is we have to address this midfield issue. We got away with it at Chelsea, and Chelsea gave us, I would say, a false sense of security. There's no security in that midfield when you're conceding that many chances. Again, you go on hell for level with all these teams, but good teams are going to put you to the sword. But we didn't even play a really super team today. Yes, they're in form, but then we're not talking about Bayern. We're not talking about Liverpool, who are playing next. We're not talking about those teams. We're talking about the damn Cherries at home. Make it make sense. Defensively, they were better than us. Just they did what they need to do. Blocks everywhere. It's a rugged game. Can't blame. You know what the killer is? You know in a game like this where you say, who do you blame? I don't know. You can't blame the referee. Referee let a lot go. That's not why we lost the game. It wasn't nothing to do with the referee. We were just poor. You know what I mean? There's so many players as well. Shaw today, asleep. Shaw was asleep. Bruno, oh my goodness. Let's talk about Bruno. Bruno, you had one job to do today. Don't get yourself a yellow card. Let's not even talk about winning the game. You had one job to do. Don't get yourself a yellow card, because guess what? We need you in the next game against Liverpool. What does Bruno do? Argument. And when you're arguing, when you're 3-0 down, the game's gone. IQ-wise says there's no point. It's over now. Now consolidate. You talk yourself into the book. You're only in the book for descent. Make that pit make sense. It can't. It will never make sense. Bruno today, it's the thing about you, because good leadership, poor decision. Good leadership, poor leadership. I just want some consistency. I want some consistency in this damn team. You look at the starting lineup and you smile, thinking to yourself, you know what, Mick phenomenal, fam. And then after, literally, I was praising him in the last fan cam that I did. Today, I'm saying, well, what does he do then? You know, like, it's over and over again. The one little silver lining I'm going to take from this match is McTominay plays in a 10. He plays as some sort of full striker, and we have some more. We try to consolidate that midfield, because right now we're in debt. We're in debt. We're in heavy debt. Man United, we're in debt. Debt FC. If we're talking about crisis, we're walking into a crisis now. We're sleepwalking into a crisis. Man United now could be out of the Champions League in a matter of days. Out of the Champions League. No, literally, like, the worst. We had a decent group, embarrass ourselves. What happens after that? We don't get no time to feel sorry for ourselves. No time to really look our wounds. Guess what? Liverpool. Oh my goodness.
I'm glad that KG brought up Bruno Fernandes, because I was gonna talk about him anyway. It's a perfect segue actually to talk about him. Now, as KG points out, everyone knew going into the game today, Bruno Fernandes, you're on 4 yellow cards. If you pick up that 5th, you're going to miss the game against Liverpool. We found ourselves in a similar situation with Casemiro last year, prior to facing Arsenal at the Emirates, away from home. And we played against Crystal Palace, and at the time, I think we were 1-0 up. It was actually Bruno Fernandes that did a short pass. Casemiro had to do the tackle, got booked, missed the game. Now, at the time, that was one of those ones where it was like, it was almost on Erik ten Hag, wasn't it? He put trust in Casemiro to not get booked, and Casemiro had gone through the game without getting the yellow card, and actually it was a situation where he had to almost do a cynical foul, and it was incredibly frustrating. Today, if it had been a situation where Bruno Fernandes had done, again, had to do a cynical foul to stop a player counter-attacking and we were winning the game, you would go, look, that's frustrating, but fair enough. Captain took a bullet for the team. What Bruno Fernandes did is almost the antithesis of that realistically. Getting booked for dissent is one thing in the game. Getting booked for dissent at 3-0 up, when you know the game's over, it was in, what, the 80th minute, something like that. You know you've lost. This game is no longer worth playing. You are just playing it out for regulation purposes. You're just completing the match. You're not playing to get back in the game. You're not playing to draw, to win, or even, you call it the team, were they really even playing for pride at that point? No. They were literally just getting through the minutes till the end of the game. The game was over. They had lost. If it was a boxing match, then a thrown in the towel much longer ago, right? It was over. So why he felt the need to then get booked for dissent, not a tackle either, not anything he did in terms of commitment, in terms of kicking someone out of frustration or anything like that, you know, laying a finger on someone, no, just for arguing, whinging and moaning to the referee. That to me is completely inexcusable. If I'm a teammate, I'm absolutely furious with me, and I'm looking at him going, that's meant to be the person who's leading me. That's meant to be the person that's setting an example to me. If I'm a young player that I look up to him, I look at that and go, what on earth? If I'm the manager in Erik ten Hag, I'm saying, I need you for next week. We know it's going to be tough. We know it's a game that really nobody expects us to win. We know the last time we were there, you specifically got criticised heavily, not entirely justifiably so, by the way. Some of it was ridiculous. And I myself, and I think others, defended him. And again, I think justifiably so. But you know what's coming up. There's no way you don't, because you know not to pick up the yellow card. You know what's coming up. You know the importance of the game. You know that you, particularly you, can try and right that wrong next week. And what do? You get booked for arguing, for being petulant. That is completely unacceptable, and that is really disappointing. And that's really disappointed me, and I'm a Bruno fan. But it's inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. And I think he should apologise to his teammates. I think he should apologise to the fans. Honestly, I think every player should apologise to the fans for that performance against Bournemouth. But that is just, for me, it was just ridiculous, you know. And it's not like Roy Keane getting sent off in an FA Cup final against Arsenal or anything like that when we go on to win the tournament. And you know, it's just not that. It's not that at all. But for people even try and do that kind of comparison, oh well, Roy Keane, you know, missed the Champions League. No. It's nothing near that. They were in 3-0 defeats at home to teams nearly at the bottom of the table. That's not even comparable. And just, again, completely unacceptable, in all honesty. And now, go into that game at Anfield and looking at the players that are available. I mean, you can let me know in the live chat who you think, but who on earth captains that side at Anfield? Where are the leaders? I mean, we had that conversation previously, didn't we, about Maguire talking about oh, we got the captaincy because there was no leaders, but now we've got so many leaders. Well, all of these leaders are gone. You know, David De Gea not here. You had Lisandro Martinez injured, Rafael Varane on the bench, Casemiro injured. All of these leaders aren't there anymore. Marcus Rashford shouldn't have the armband, massively out of form. What player in that team captains the side at Anfield? Is it Shaw? Do you give it back to Maguire? I don't want to do anything to Harry Maguire to alter his form. He was our best player again today. And again in a 3-0 loss. Who gets that armband? It's just yet more mess. More mess for Manchester United. Let's get some more reaction inside UVHQ. Here's what Rich had to say.
Ten Hag.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. I'm not Ten Hag out. I'll say it straight, but this is on Ten Hag. And I've been sitting there thinking about it post-game. And I'm thinking, looking at last season, actually, forget last season, first of all, sorry. This game, we lose the ball, right? Like, bear in mind, all of you go look at the stats now. We had 70% possession, something like that, right? And maybe they had 30% on average throughout the game. But we didn't use the ball very well. And anytime we lost the ball in this game, one pass from Bournemouth through our non-existent midfield, and they're in through on goal. Fair enough, I'm not saying they had bare chances, yeah, but they were a lot more effective with the ball. So I have to blame this tactically on Ten Hag because there's something that's not right. And then what I was going to say is going into last season, we were supporting that midfield a bit more. We all said on stream that Amrabat had a great game, but he was by himself.
Absolutely alone.
He was by himself in that midfield. And this is the same issue we're having every single game, all season.
Every single player. Casemiro's being left alone.
It doesn't matter who's playing in that six. They are by themselves. So, but conclusion, it has to be Ten Hag. It has to be a tactical issue. Like, you know, I'm not excusing the players because they were dreadful today in terms of in the final third or, you know, making that final, you know, Dallo with that shot at the end instead of passing it. There are things that the players can do to do better, but there's something wrong tactically, you know, systematically here that Ten Hag needs to fix and quickly. Because last season we were supporting what we were doing last season was the fullbacks were inverting and supporting the midfield, right? They're not doing for some reason not doing that this season. You know, inversions. When was the last time you said inversion? When was the last time you said that? And then you're watching. Look at that. Villa just scored, right? You're watching Villa against Arsenal with a manager that has come in this last season and taken them to different heights. And then this season, they're basically going to go second in the league now if they win this game. So there has to be something. We have to, you know, I'm one of Ten Hag's like most ardent supporters, yeah? But it gets to the stage now where you can't defend him right now. And I feel sorry for him because, you know, you want to blame the players and say, you know, they're throwing him under the bus a little bit. But actually, Ten Hag, bro, you need to do better.
He's got to inspire these guys, man. Because it's true. We're watching Aston Villa play a game against Arsenal right now. And the game is insane. We're looking at
55 minutes.
Like, but they started so well.
Yeah.
The difference is the start and how and the effectiveness. You got players like McGinnon. You got like Man United. Just where's the confidence? It's got to be. It's mentality. It's the manager. There's so many things that's wrong with Man United right now.
100%, and that's why I had to start with Ten Hag because like it's very easy for me to skate over it and start looking at, you know, oh, why didn't this player do this? Why didn't that player do this? But really and truly, you watch some of these teams. And you watch, like, let's just use Villa and Newcastle as the examples. Fair enough, Newcastle and Villa are currently in the table. But you can see that they are buying into the manager's style of play. I'm not saying Ten Hag doesn't have a style of play. Don't get twisted. He does. But whatever he's doing this year, it's not working. So you need to fix it and say, you know what? Here is the problem. And we can all see that problem in the midfield. I am a big champ. Well, no, tell a lie. I came out and bigged up McTominay because he was scoring us goals, right? And I'll still stand by that section of, you know, when he's in the box, he's getting goals. But otherwise, the guy is not doing anything in that midfield. So take him out. You know, DJ was saying throughout the whole stream, take McTominay off because he's not offering anything. Take him off, bring up Kobe. And the only reason we're saying bring up Kobe is because there's no one else in that you can bring up and put in the midfield. Who else is there on the bench?
No one else.
No one else. Because you're not bringing up Van der Beek, right, to play in that number 8 role or help the number 6. Kobe can do that. Bring him on. Fair enough, he's a young kid. We want to, you know, give him time. But we need to protect that midfield. And if we don't, we're going to get run through every single time.
Again, so you're saying we need to make changes. You mentioned Bruno and stuff. Was there anyone else that he just was disappointing for you to do?
No, to be honest, that's what I was saying before. Like we had the ball and we used it. We used it, you know, not well. Basically, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but we had a lot of the ball. You know, Amrabat wasn't
effective.
We were not effective. We were not effective at all. You know, you're looking at also the defenders. The defenders, they did their jobs at times. Maguire was good. You know, you can't complain about Maguire's performance today. You can't complain about Amrabat's performance. You then get to the front line and you say these guys finish their dinner. But then What dinner? There were no chances created.
We didn't cook. We didn't cook.
Yeah.
Was cooking cereal today, bro.
We weren't cooking anything, bruv. We weren't making any chances. So I can't even pick out a player and say, you did this. Actually, I can pick out one player, that somebody else. Luke Shaw.
Big up to KG and Rich. I mean, KG struggling for his life in there to do two things at once. I felt like if Mrs. KG was watching, she'd be like, that feels very familiar to me, sort of. You know what I mean? The microphone's there, looking at the TV. Yeah, terrible. Yeah. Occasionally with the turn of the head. Yeah. I know, it's bad. Yeah. But I'm glad Rich brought up McTominay as well, because as Rich points out, he's been talking about McTominay and his threat in the box, but yet again against Bournemouth, it's the same issue, isn't it? It's midfield. Midfield, we just get completely and totally overrun. We are so frail in transition, it is frightening. And a lot of the time, the transition stems from us giving the ball away. Like sloppy errors, poor pass, or out to a winger. What happens? We run in some players, ball comes up the other end of the pitch, and then they're just in. I mean, it happens so quickly, and it's not even some like nuanced tactic from the opposition. It wasn't really for Bournemouth. It's just they pick up the ball. If they got fast players, next thing you know, they run through the midfield, and then suddenly it's 3 versus 3, or it's 3v2, or it's 4v3, and we're like, what is going on here? And then it's either poor from them, or we get away with it, or Onana makes a save, or as happened against Bournemouth a lot of the time, Maguire makes a block or an interception, but it's not sustainable. And then you go, well, why is McTominay playing then? Because as a midfielder, he doesn't really offer anything. But the problem is he's been scoring goals. And the other problem is nobody else has been scoring goals. So if you're Ten Hag, you find yourself in a dilemma where you're like, I've got to play this player because he might score a goal. Even though I know everything else he doesn't do well. Everything else I know he doesn't do. But he might score a goal. And the problem is we're not a team full of goals. We're a team that the front sort of 3 or 4, they ain't scoring. It's always that midfielder or like a defender that's bailing us out. So if I want a hope of winning this game, I've got to play him and hope that he's going to score. But if he doesn't score, we're basically going to be playing with 10 men because he doesn't contribute anything else. I mean, it's that kind of, it's so backwards, but that's what Man United is. It's backwards. It's all backwards. I saw someone on social media, and it's so true, McTominay's Fellaini. Scott McTominay is Marouane Fellaini. In that, what actually does he genuinely contribute to the team in terms of technical ability, tactical ability, positional play? Not all that much. But what does he actually do? Scores goals. Late goals. Winning goals. And then he gets praised for his sort of application and the fact that he's got moments in him where he can score goals. And a lot of the time, they're goals where it's in and around the box, headers, sort of, ricochets, he's in the right place at the right time. Scott McTominay is Fellaini. It's the same thing. It's the same principle. And the same way that several managers came in and kept playing Fellaini for that very reason. Certain players don't score goals, or they get desperate. They have to abandon the game plan. They have to adapt their game plan or their philosophy, and they go, look, get Fellaini in there. And it's the same. Like McTominay, it's Fellaini. That is what he is. He is Fellaini. And that's why Fellaini was used by, obviously Moyes brought him in, but he was used by Van Gaal. He was used by Jose because they had to abandon, change their philosophy, change their mentality, and just be like, hey, we've just got to get the ball in the box, and Fellaini got winners, and McTominay's the same. But that is not sustainable, because eventually they won't always score goals. The other players whose job it actually is to score goals, they have to pull it out, and they didn't. He brought up Luke Shaw towards the end there, Rich, as well. Luke Shaw was really poor. I've backed Luke Shaw, said I look forward to him coming back into centre-back. He got bullied. I wouldn't even be shocked with Shaw if it came out that he went into the game either with an injury or that he was ill, because he looked off it all through the game. Second goal, he just got bullied, but he got bullied a lot in that game. He couldn't handle it, and that's one of the rare times we've seen him move into left centre-back, and he was just off it. Absolutely off it. And he's not the only one, certainly. Let's get some more reaction. Let's go to Bradley outside Old Trafford.
Same as you, I'm lost for words. That was a disgusting performance from top to bottom. And it was worse than Liverpool 5-0 at Old Trafford. Maybe not feel-wise, but the actual performance was worse because they're not as good as what Liverpool are, and it's just a disgrace, really.
How do you assess what you just saw, because when that happens, it's usually the players don't care, they've stopped fighting for the manager, or, you know, this player's a disgrace, or this one player wasn't trying. Like, but today felt like just a lot of it, all of it is just wrong.
It was everything. Like, what minute did this go? Like the 4th minute. I knew we had to change something from the 2nd minute, because there was one moment where Onana had the ball. He passed it really slow to Luke Shaw. It was like a hospital pass, and then Luke Shaw kicked out for a throw-in. Then Bruno tried a back heel, and then give away a free kick, and then everything was just a mess. And then they scored by Luke Shaw giving the ball away again, and it was just all wrong. Like, when Bournemouth broke, you could see the passing patterns were all there, and it was like in a set structure. When United broke, there was no set structure at all, and when we had to defend, we couldn't get ourselves back into position to be able to defend.
Yeah, they'll pick it up on the counter-attack, and then obviously 2 set pieces. You look at the lack of marking and accountability. I haven't even seen the goals back, but I don't know whose players got free, but it was just absolutely just like shocking marking, shocking defending.
Disgusting. I wouldn't even recommend to watch him back. It was childlike defending. Luke Shaw regular just got bullied in the air, and literally all he did was just put a hand on his shoulder, and he just went down on the floor. I'm like, what do you do? What do they do in training? Do they do like gym work, or I don't know what they do. Like, it's clueless. I don't know what to say.
I feel like we always say this after a bad loss, yeah, because we never have I seen a team in their worst years take so many embarrassing defeats as us. That's what hurts me. Like, you know, we get battered a lot. Like, but when it's like this, is there? I hate asking this because I say it every time, but it's like, is there a way back? Like, what does the future look like going forward? Like, how, you know, we've got Bayern Munich next. We know what's going to happen there. You've got Liverpool next. You know what's going to happen there. Is there a way back?
It's a difficult answer to a question, because, do you know how I said Fred's like a box of chocolates? Man United are that. Like, you don't know what we're going to get with Man United, because like the Chelsea performance, it was night and day from what we saw today, and then the Newcastle performance, and if Ten Hag gets sacked next month, which wouldn't surprise me, he'd be the quickest manager to win Manager of the Month and then get sacked.
And that's ironic, isn't it? You know, just literally Manager of the Month, Goal of the Month, Player of the Month, and then you come and lose 3-0 to Bournemouth.
Could have been 4 as well.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the disallowed goal, and even forget about the disallowed goal, there's so many other times where they could have scored goals. It could have been 5 or 6.
Do you think the play? And again, we have to go back to the same old questions, because we have to try and get our head around what's happened. Do you think the players have just given up? Were they complacent today? Is that just who the players are? Is that just who Ten Hag is, where he can get a tune out of them sometimes, but not all the times? Like, what do you think?
I think it's a mix of everything, to be honest. I think that's what they are. They're inconsistent, but also I think Ten Hag has to take a lot of accountability for that, because surely the Bournemouth players are better than our players, and their passing patterns were way better than ours, and that comes down to the manager, because like, I don't know what goes on in the training ground, but we can't see it on the pitch.
Big up to Bradley outside Old Trafford there. I do want to talk a little bit about Anthony Martial, Rasmus Højlund as well, because the Martial one's a weird one, because I've seen people praising his performance, and I've seen people really criticising his performance. It's almost really polarising, isn't it? And then, you know, I've seen people say, I think he played very well, he was rubbish. And then some people go, no, he actually was doing all right, he was holding up the play, he was linking up the play well, etc., etc. And part of the discussion of why, evidence rather, of Martial playing well is that when he came off, actually, Old Trafford cheered. It cheered that he was coming off and being replaced by Højlund. That we played worse, and the link-up play just completely disappeared, and Højlund was arguably even worse than Martial. And I mentioned this on the full-time viewers. I don't think those two things are totally mutually exclusive. I don't think just because, you know, Højlund came on and was worse than Martial, that's like evidence of how good Martial was. I don't think either was good. I think Manchester United today could have carried on playing for an extra 90 minutes, and I don't think we would have scored. Certainly, we wouldn't have scored from the front three. And that's really concerning, because recently we've been creating all of these chances and looked really threatening. And yes, maybe we haven't scored a ton of goals in the Premier League, having the Champions League. And look, we scored 3 against Everton. But you do look at like the front three, even when it was put on paper, earlier today when the team news came out. Well, I'm not going to be revisionist history here because we all looked at that. I did anyway. Looked at that team and went, okay, well, Martial probably would have gone with Højlund, but okay. Apart from that, Reguilon in at left back, Lindelof's out. I'm happy with that. Most people would have been happy with that considering the performance on Wednesday. But when you do look at it on paper and you go Garnacho, Højlund, Antony, and today it was Garnacho, Martial, Antony. There's not a lot of goals in there, is there, really? There's not. You got Garnacho's been getting goals recently, credit to him, but he's still a kid. You've got Rasmus Højlund, hasn't got a Premier League goal this season. Again, he's a kid. You've got Antony, who's, I mean, how long have we got with him? Played all right recently, but he's not a goal scorer. Where are the goals? Bruno Fernandes in behind them in the 10, but he sent Bruno Fernandes 3 years ago when he came in under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where he's scoring every single game. He's one of the top goal scorers in the Premier League. Those days of Bruno Fernandes have long gone. So where are the goals? Where are the goals going to come from? Even with Martial. Yeah, Martial had goals last season, but he plays every other game, if he doesn't get injured, and that's no consistency. So you look across that front three, where are the goals? And you go, I bring on Marcus Rashford. And he ran around for a bit, but still, he's not Marcus Rashford of last season. He certainly ain't the purple patch Rashford. He's miles off it. And he still shouldn't be starting games. He still should be on the bench, probably. I think the thing that might have worked out for Rashi is that because it was so poor today, he might play against Bayern Munich now. He might have that spot back because Garnacho wasn't great either. But I think that hope of, with Højlund and Bollecat, you can see what Rasmus Højlund is. And I don't mean this as like a diss or, put him down or anything like that, because I don't want to do that. And I've seen a lot of people doing that on social media, and I don't think it's totally fair. But Rasmus Højlund was a striking target that was one of two. The reports all said that Ten Hag wanted an experienced, ready-made, right-now, prime striker that you put in the team, score 25, 30 goals. He wanted Harry Kane. Whether he could or couldn't get him, okay, that's by the by, but someone else. He wanted that profile of striker that was going to play near enough every game of the season, was going to score 30-plus goals, and he was going to be, the focal point of the attack. That's what he wanted. And he also wanted Rasmus Højlund. He wanted him to be the backup striker, to be the young striker that develops, isn't in the spotlight every week, doesn't start every game, not the finished article, but we can grow him, we can mold him, and he doesn't have the pressure and the expectation of being that 30-goal a season striker. But Manchester United calculated horribly. They didn't get that ready-made prime striker right now. They overspent on Rasmus Højlund. They did. Let's face it. I mean, people were saying, well, how many goals did he get in Serie A last season? Was it 9 or something like that? And they were going, well, he's got to improve. There's got to be something there. And I suppose you get into the territory of, well, should we be surprised that the young kid that came in and was injured as he was coming through the door and hadn't scored a ton of goals in Serie A is struggling to hit the back of the net? Probably not. And that's not all totally his fault. Chances haven't been there. He's in a poor side as well. But it's just not looking good, is it? And that's another thing you just sort of worry about. Even we said it in the game against Chelsea in the week. My biggest criticism coming out of the game is that we didn't put our chances away. And I still look at that going into these games against Bayern, against Liverpool, and just for the rest of the season, where are the goals coming from? Who's going to put the ball in the back of the net? And I don't know. You can let me know the answer to that in the comment section below. Finally, let's go to DJ. Here are his thoughts about United's defeat.
Man, it's unacceptable, KG, man. Like,
So what happened? How do we lose that game? Like, who you blaming this one on?
you know what it is. Look. A lot of people saying Ten Hag doesn't have a style of play and patterns of play and all this, that, and a third, right? I can see a pattern of play. It's just that some of these players aren't executing it. Bruno makes the mistake in terms of lofting the ball into the midfield area, but you expect, obviously, your centre mid to be able to shield the ball, keep possession, and move it along. McTominay, he kind of misjudges it. His body language, like his positioning was all off. He ends up losing the ball. They go 1-0 up. We've actually given them that same exact goal later on in the game too. And I just think at some point you have to learn from your mistakes. So for me, it is a mixture. It is a mixture. The blame gets shared, innit? It's the players, but also Ten Hag, because he had the opportunity. He had
ample
he had like
opportunity.
80 plus minutes to change it. Bring on Kobbie Mainoo into the midfield. Look, McTominay, big him up. Like he's scored a lot of goals this season. Well, for him anyway. And he's been effective in some games, but it was quite evident early on that he wasn't going to be effective in this type of game. So then we needed to change it. We needed to have not necessarily more control, because we controlled large parts of the game, but just people that are technically sound in those type of areas, especially deep in the midfield. That's not his game. So when you have McTominay on, he's playing essentially as an 8, as this Roman 10, if you will, that will get in the box. Amrabat to do it all by himself, who played all right. Look, today, capitulation settings. One goes in, we try, we huff and we puff for what, 60, 70 minutes, and then, 50 minutes, whatever it is, and then we just soft. We're soft, bro.
Soft underbelly.
Soft underbelly, bro. We always carry a bullet for ourselves. I've said it time and time again, and I'll keep saying it. I don't know why we always do this. We are the architects of our own downfall.
Yeah.
Every single time. There's no way that Bournemouth should be coming to Old Trafford and be winning 3-0. Like, what's the asterisk? 4-0. Because they had the ball in there. Even how many times did they?
6 times.
6 times, bro. That's peak, fam.
It's disgrace.
That is absolutely mad. So look, poor performance in the sense of we did nothing with the ball, and poor performance in the sense of we never created chances for our strikers. A lot of good play in open play, but that doesn't win you football matches.
Is our manager going to make it through this period? You got Bayern next, Liverpool after that.
Look, man, I'll be honest, man. I am not Ten Hag out. Like, I'm fully behind the manager. I think you have to give this manager time. I think if you push the button too early and you get rid of him, you just bring in another manager to inherit the exact same mess, the exact same problems with no solutions. So I would rather keep, the manager that we have. I'm seeing signs of what he wants to do, but I fear, this is my fear, KG, I fear that if we go and get slapped up by Liverpool, if we go and get slapped up by Bayern, right? That is when, the haters, they're going to have a lot more ammunition in their tank. So that's where it could be a problem. So I'm hoping that he does survive.
Listen, you're saying you're hoping he survives and stuff, but then now he's still in the job and it's his at the moment. He's man running things. Well, how does he fix this?
Honestly, look, I would love to ask him, like, how come you didn't bring Kobe on? Like, just for the simple fact, and look, even if you did bring Kobe on, it might not have changed the outcome of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would have changed a lot of what was going on the pitch. Because, as I said, McTominay was doing what he does best and trying to get forward and trying to impact the game, arriving late and all that stuff. But this game didn't call for that. We had the ball. Do you know what I'm saying? We had the ball. This game wasn't necessarily a McTominay type of game to bring him into. And I would love to just ask the manager, what was his thought process by that? I think bringing on Højlund, I wanted Højlund on. I thought he could have done good. I think there's a kind of agreement thing there with Martial, like, yeah, you're going to play 55 minutes, 60 minutes, and then bring Højlund on. I think that's fine. Outside of that, there was not much you could do. Today. Yeah, he looked good, linking up the play, but again, no cutting edge. Like, in the first half, we was whipping the ball into the box for Martial, who is not necessarily the biggest aerial threat. The minute Højlund comes in, we stop putting the ball in the box.
Big up DJ talking to KG after the game yesterday. And there you go, guys. That's another edition of Matchday Reloaded. It feels like we're doing more ones after defeats as opposed to victories. But hey, I'm going to be here after the games on Tuesday. So we'll be here Wednesday morning as well as Monday morning as well after the Bayern games and the Liverpool games respectively. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. What's on tap for the remainder of the day? Well, there will be a reflection coming from Flex talking about his thoughts the day after, how he's feeling, his thoughts on just everything right now when it comes to Manchester United. So be sure to check that out. You've been really enjoying that recently. And then, of course, the full view will be live tonight, 7 p.m. with the full panel and a lot to talk about, certainly. So there you go, guys. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. I'm out of here. Peace.